If you hear that, that's the sound of a failed fuel pump. So, when I prime the car on, I get no sound from the fuel pump, but the theft light is on. So I'm not sure if that's something connected to that weird car control module thing. I'm not sure if that's the problem or what, but I think a good first place to start is the fuel pump. I'm gonna check all the fuses and stuff like that to double check that that's not the issue either. I just want to be 100% sure before I have to drop the fuel tank, basically. Imagine that. I fix something and then another thing breaks. That's the joy of cars. So I went in here and the fuse box, this is the fuel pump fuse and that's like the horn fuse right here. So I switched these two around just to be sure they were both working. Both still work. Well, the horn still works and the fuel pump does not. So that tells me the fuse was good to start with. So that's telling me closer to the fuel pump. I'm now gonna reset the inertia switch in the trunk. Go in here to the fuel pump inertia switch behind this little piece of carpet, and it's this red switch right here. I know you guys can't see it, but tap it with the back side of a screwdriver. Try and get that button to kind of pop up. There it goes. Then you can press it back down, and that should have reset the wiring for it. If that doesn't fix it, it's fuel pump time. So go into the car, turn the switch on, ignition on, and I get no fuel pump sound. So, here's what it is. Somehow doing stuff up at the head affected the fuel pump. And of course, the last time I put the car in the garage, I put it as far over as I possibly could, so there's like no working room. So we'll start with the 10mm bolts in here, because you have to remove the fuel neck filler. That's pretty easy. A couple of bolts. I'm also removing the fuel tank and the fuel pump before I get a new one, because I don't know the size that this car requires. All the forums online say something different, and I think this is a returnless style fuel rail, so I don't want to have to play around with having too much fuel and over pressuring the regulator or whatever. I just want it to be the right one and not have to worry about it. Alright, well I think I've got the fuel pump far enough down to where I can take that top hat off and probably pull the fuel pump out. If not, I can lower it down a little bit more. I'm caught over here and I really don't want to take the exhaust off, so I think I'm just going to try and make this work. So when you pull the fuel pump out, you want to make sure you clean all around it, because say you pull this out and then a rock drops in the tank, you're kind of SOL, and that's not very fun. So clean around it. I used a shop vac and some Simple Green and a towel, and it kind of cleaned up most of what could be a problem. So I went to O'Reilly's, got a new fuel filter. I also got a Master Pro fuel pump. And I'm pretty sure all fuel pumps are made by Walbro anyways, so it really doesn't matter. And I wasn't looking to upgrade or nothing like that. But I am genuinely surprised that they included this little adapter, because the Ford one has this specific weird looking thing that a specific connector, but they included an adapter with more wire to connect to this new fuel pump. I am genuinely pleased that that happened. Like, that's not a normal thing usually. I know what you guys are probably thinking. Why would I not test the fuel pump after putting it in and with the fuel tank down? Why would I do that? I'm pretty certain it's going to work, and I also need to replace the fuel filter, so I want to replace the fuel filter with the fuel lines drained, and replacing the fuel filter with the tank down is kind of hard. So here's what it is. I hope it works. If it doesn't, that sucks, but fuel filter time. Well, I got the darn fuel pump and fuel filter replaced. The fuel filter was in an extremely uncomfortable position, so I didn't film any of that. Pretty much directly above the differential, so there was nothing really to see other than I got this old one out. Can't quite tell what is written on it, but it looks like it needed to be replaced at 190,000. It's at 185 right now, so in that realm of when it should be replaced. But yeah, let's prime this pump and see if it works. Here goes nothing. But I guess this video should actually be why you shouldn't install an aftermarket alarm system in your car. So I did replace the fuel pump, got that replaced the fuel filter, and still no fuel pump, no power to it, no nothing. I don't drive this car enough to know better, but I realized that when I key the ignition on, the theft light flashes. I didn't really think twice about that. I kind of thought that it was normal for this car, because this car is different from my 94 where that doesn't even really have a theft system in it. This had an aftermarket alarm system installed in it, and it's kind of messed with the car a little bit. Not real happy about that. Came with the car. I'm gonna see if I can kind of remedy the situation, see if I can skip over some of those relays that cut power to the fuel pump. See if I can just wire those together and then have power to the fuel pump. So my understanding here is this is a relay that cuts power to the fuel pump. You can see there's two larger wires here. I think that this is the switch for basically this box telling to cut power to the fuel pump via this relay. I think that's the problem. I'm gonna kind of trace the wires back, see if I can take some of these off and plug them directly into each other. And as I suspected, two of those wires come out here, comes out through the dash via a hole down there. They actually did seal it up kind of nicely. They didn't do the worst wiring job that I've ever seen, but one wire comes up to here to the hood safety thing. I don't know, this tells you if the hood's being popped or whatever. Then this yellow wire comes all the way back over here and goes into this injector wire. Now I don't know why it goes into this injector wire, but it does. So I probably need to open that up and see if that's pulling out or something, because never a good sign when a random wire is going to your injector. But that could be a part of the issue, since I did just take this valve cover off and messed with these wires a little bit. So I'm pretty sure these two black wires from the relay are supposed to connect to each other when in a line kind of deal. I'm gonna stick some spare wire I got into this terminal. I know it's not really correct, but I want to see if doing so will turn. Nothing bad so far. Let's see what happens. See if I get a fuel pump. That light is still gonna come on. Nope. No fuel pump, so that's the wrong one. So let me try and explain this whole situation a little better, because I know the beginning of this video probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Basically, I attempted to tighten the head bolt down on the driver cylinder head because it was leaking like a couple drops of coolant every once in a while. So I went in, tightened that down, put it all back together, and the car wouldn't start. Nothing would happen. And I'm like, why would nothing happen if I took the valve cover off and tightened the head down? And lo and behold, no fuel pump. Sorry, there's a airplane going by, but lo and behold, there's no fuel pump. I can turn the engine over, but nothing happens, nothing good happens. And I notice there's a theft light on the dash. I don't drive this car enough, or nearly enough as I kind of want to, but I didn't realize that that's not a normal thing. I kind of just overlooked the whole theft light and was just like, whatever. So I just immediately went through the wiring, made sure the fuel pump was, checked the fuses, those are good, checked the inertia switch, that was good. So I was like, all right, I guess I have to replace the fuel pump. Went in, replaced the fuel pump along with the fuel filter, just because may as well do both at one time. And go back in the car, turns over, doesn't start, no fuel pump. And now I'm just like, what is happening, basically? So I take another look at it, theft light still is on, so I'm like, all right, maybe the aftermarket alarm system is messing with the car and it's just not making it very happy. So pay somebody, come out here. He does a great job. He pulls the aftermarket alarm system out of the car, and that is done. That's out of the car now. I don't have to worry about it like doing weird locking stuff. Yes, I have to use the key on the door now, but I'll take that over not being able to roll down windows and stuff. Get that removed, car still doesn't start. And now I'm just like lost for words, basically. So now I obviously had the aftermarket alarm system removed, go back in to start the car, and same thing. No fuel pump, no power to nothing except for the starter. The starter will turn over. I'll notice the theft light's on. I then notice the odometer doesn't read a number, like it's just a bunch of dashes on it, basically. So that's telling me that not even the ECU is getting power, kind of deal, because if that doesn't read your odometer, because it's a digital one, that means you're not getting power to the ECU. So go through the whole car again. The alarm guy actually helped me kind of figure that part out. He went through the fuse box and literally just tested all the fuses for continuity and told me the ECM fuse is not getting any power. And with this car, there's like a whole path system. I don't know what it stands for, but it kind of messes with everything and it makes it odd to work on. But he noticed that that wasn't working. So I went and bought another one, put it in, tried to start it, immediately blew that one out again. So I'm like, all right, we got a shortage somewhere. Lo and behold, there is a wire on the back of this head that I forgot about, way down in there against the firewall. Look at that. It's plugged in. Trace the wire back. It's clamped between the valve cover and the head. And I'm like, okay, that's probably my issue there. Take the valve cover back off and then check the wire. The wire's okay, there's nothing wrong with it. It just got smashed down basically because there was a gasket between the two, so it wasn't a sharp edge just cutting it in half or nothing. So go back through, check the wire, make sure that's good, plug it back in, put the key in the car, and it starts. Anyways guys, that'll be the end of the 99 Cobra video. As you can tell, I was not super excited to be dropping the fuel tank many a times, but now that car's in my backyard, so I can show you real quick. But yeah, so that car is just gonna sit out there for the winter because here it snows a lot and you can't really drive a rear wheel drive car in the snow very easily, let alone 300 horsepower Cobra, so not really gonna play around with that. Brought this car back in. If you guys don't know this one, this is a 1974 Triumph Spitfire with a 1990 Miata motor in it, and I've got some parts for this car because if you guys have seen the series, I've been working on this thing for a long time now. Many hours have gone into this. This is my first engine swap that I have ever done. It's going pretty well. I'm just in the phase of figuring out wiring. I bought a whole nother wiring harness to a 1990 Miata because I think I'm missing something in here that won't allow me to get spark, so I ordered a whole new fuse box for the engine compartment because I was dumb and thought that I could just use one that came with a painless kit. But anyways, not gonna get in too deep on this car in this video. But if you're interested in this, or if you're interested in the other two cars, please consider liking and subscribing and following along. I would appreciate that a lot. It goes a long way for me. But I'll catch you guys in the next one.